Hey, my name's Alex. I'm here with my friend David. We served together in the military. We're here having a conversation about the Electoral College and just is any reform needed for this system that we elect our president, or should the United States go to a strict popular vote, or is the system perfect the way it is, and should it not change at all? And were the founders correct in the way that they devised for the executive branch to be elected? So we'd just love to get your opinion on that, David.
I suppose that starts with, what do you think, or what inspired you to write this paper and think that it needs to be addressed in the first place?
Yeah, so after 2016, and also you saw it again in 2000 with the Bush Gore and with Trump Clinton, the mass divide that you saw between one candidate getting the Electoral College and another candidate getting the popular vote.
I don't know that it was mass, man. That was pretty close.
Oh.
Both of them were pretty close elections. But yes, one despite not having the popular vote.
Yeah. Okay. And so anyway, so you see that disparaging difference there. And so with with a large amount of the Democratic presidential candidates coming out, Elizabeth Warren saying that she is in favor of abolishing it. You have Andrew Yang saying that he wants to go to a proportional based system.
Do you think it's surprising that, having tasted the bitterness of defeat twice, that's the party that proposes it? That they have what is clearly a popular candidate who loses, and they were a little grumbly about it the first time, and then for it to happen again within 2 decades, or what amounts to be just a couple of presidential election cycles, that's the party that has said, hey, you know what, maybe something has happened where this isn't representative of the people like it maybe was meant to be, and that there has been something that has happened, whether you believe, whether or not you believe that it is gerrymandering on the part of the GOP, who have drawn a lot of the lines for the elections, or whatever other system it is that you may feel is defunct now or in need of reform now. It's not surprising to me that that's the party that has made the calls for that.
No, it's not surprising to me either. I mean, I know that in 2000, before the election, that the Bush campaign was actually already working on the narrative and was already putting out talking points about how Bush could possibly win the popular vote and Al Gore win the Electoral College, and basically saying like, hey, this system needs to go and stuff like that. And so, and you even see in like 1824 when the election happened and no clear winner was decided, and it was kicked to the House of Representatives to choose who was going to be the president. 4 years later, Andrew Jackson got into office, and he is saying, hey, we need to do away with this system. And that was in 1824. The country was literally only like 50 years old at the time. And so over the course of the time of this, our country, there have been over 700 proposed changes to the Electoral College. So just because of one proposed change is done doesn't mean it's necessarily going to happen.
Sure.
But I think that, and you see in the late 1800s, there were 2 elections also very close to each other, where you did have a clear divide again between Electoral College and the popular vote. The election of 1888, and I can't remember the other one. I'm drawing a blank.
So, and you're, by dint of the studies you've done for this, a little more brushed up on the way back history. If we're using examples where there is not a correlation between the population's will and the outcome of the election, is that a good thing? Or is that what we're shooting to change? Do we want to make sure that whatever 50.1% of the population want, that's what we should have in a presidential election?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I understand that idea, but
Would we prefer that it be the minority's will when we're electing a president?
no. And
Okay.
but so then to that case though, I would then say that it wasn't the minority that elected Trump, even though he did not get the popular vote. He did earn the most electoral votes. And so if you go to the states and you look at the states that he won the majority of the states that required him to get elected as president. And so therefore he did win a majority, and the people in those states voted for him. And so therefore, because he won those states, whether they happen to be populous or not, because he won those states, he did win a majority of the people's vote. Especially if you look at the a state map of how it was broken down.
Square mileage does not equal the majority.
Okay.
I'm asking if in a country of a hypothetical 100,000 people,
Mm-hmm.
if only 38,000 people voted for him, but they had the most land, should they get more vote because they have land? The answer is no. So when I say the majority, or 50.1% of our population, I mean the people. I don't care where they live.
Okay.
I want to know that the number of people, and do you feel that the number of people in this country, 50.1% of them, should be the deciding factor for president? Or do you think that there is something more important than an individual? For example, the land that they occupy is more important than how many people. So from what I take from your statement, it is more important to you to see that people's where they live is what makes or breaks how their vote should be weighed. Because of course it's naturally imbalanced. You have people whose single vote, single say-so in an election is weighed significantly heavier because they live in a place where there's not a lot of people.
Yeah, and so this is why I am torn between the proportional based system that you see in Maine and Nebraska,
Mm-hmm.
where if you campaign on a congressional district level, then and you're winning congressional districts, then you would. So we can take California for example, or even here in Texas.
Yeah.
You can campaign in congressional district level. And you would see certain congressional districts, like the ones in Austin, the ones in San Antonio, the ones in Dallas area, those would probably go blue, but not for sure. You can see other ones out in East Texas or West Texas that would go red. And so I mean that's kind of why
East and West Texas pretty red already.
It is. But I mean, you never know just how it's going to turn out. I mean, Beto was campaigning out in West Texas, and I mean, he was campaigning and doing very well. He was going to places that Democrats just weren't going. Much like,
to be fair, he was going to places that no congressional candidate went.
yeah. So
he led a very unique campaign in that he wanted to see every person. He wanted to go to every location where there was people and see them. If that meant that it was a town hall of 12, he was going to be there.
yeah.
And that is certainly something that endeared him to the people.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, why he was so successful in a traditionally very red state.
Yeah, and even I can respect that. I didn't vote for the guy, but even I can respect that.
Yeah, it was good shoe leather effort.
Yes. So I think that proportional based system would, one, get it down to a more localized level.
What are
And-
you hoping to accomplish by using congressional districts instead of the system that we have, and instead of just saying one person, one vote, and we're abolishing all of the lines in this, and we just want to hear the will of every individual person?
So I think the purpose of going to a proportional based system would be to one, localize it to a more local level. So basically, you would have people. I believe that you would actually see a higher turnout, and also too, I think that you would probably see people care more about their congressional district, and if it was gerrymandered, than than now, because now people aren't able to really tell where their congressional district is.
Sure. Yeah.
And
we don't care.
yeah, and we don't care. We're like, all right, yeah,
who's
fine.
the candidate?
Yeah.
It's fine. Okay, I'm going to show up and vote for whoever it is that I'm going to vote
Exactly. But if you know that the president has a chance to win the congressional district,
Mhm.
or is going for that congressional district, and maybe your congressional district is solidly red, it's purple, it's blue, whatever, and a candidate comes into that area, then it would give you the chance to really just kind of see that candidate and swing you one way or another. I also think that it would also potentially allow for the rise of a third party within the United States.
Probably not. But I do have an alternate troubleshooting question, and to be clear, none of the options that we've proposed are perfect. Clearly, they're all flawed in some way.
Real quick, even Alexander Hamilton said that in the Federalist Papers, even said that the Electoral College is not a perfect system.
No, and I don't think that there exists yet that we've found a perfect system for representative bodies, much less presidential elections. But on the subject of representative bodies, is it a concern of yours that your congressional district proposal will allow for complete governmental control of a party? Because
how would it do that?
Let's propose that we're going by congressional district.
Okay.
When you look at the split in Congress, there is frequently a situation where you see a Democratic Congress and a Republican president, or vice versa.
Yeah, fine.
If you are instead dividing by congressional lines, whatever Congress is very likely what you're going to elect, right? Because if they've all voted red, and so you have 52% Congress is Republican, then 52% of those congressional districts are leaning, more than likely, for all intents and purposes, Republican. So you're going to have a Republican president and a Republican Congress, and they're going to work well together, and they're going to get a bunch of Republican stuff done, and half of the country who feels a different kind of way. Or if we're going by presidential numbers, it seems that over half of the country, over 50% of the actual human beings that live in this country who vote Democrat and don't get their president are not going to be accurately represented. And the wills and things that attract people to the Democratic Party aren't going to be done. And by dint of the black and white kind of system that we have, the things that Republicans are working for are the things that Democrats tend to work against, and vice versa. So now you have a Congress that we're already unhappy with as Democrats.
Yeah.
And now we're going to say that same thing that gave us this Republican Congress is now also going to be the same vehicle with which we're going to elect the president as well. Or you could have another 8 years of Obama, who made a lot of people very upset on the other side of where we're going to be passing all of these things that make people upset. We're going to come for all of your guns. We're going to have socialism. We're going to do whatever it is that we're going to do. And so you're going to have the other demographic, the slightly less than 50% of our population, disappointed because both the vehicle with which that we have a Democratic Congress, we're now going to have a Democratic president. And I would be concerned that there is less variation in that.
Yeah.
Quick pause for parental stuff.
Okay.